So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the research at UCLA. But more importantly, we know research is a moving target. When we talk about state of art and state of art technology constantly changing. So I'm a physicist by training, so I often like to formulate my talk from the fundamental understanding and then apply the understanding towards the state of art technology, see whether we can push the technology to a little bit further. So today I'm going to talk about the organic and the Perovskite thin-film solar cells. So we know solar sun is a black body radiation with a temperature about 6,000 degrees Celsius. So the sunlight is the yellow curve here. So the black body radiation of 5,250 simulation spectra is, the real spectra is like that. Anyway, so the red curve is the sunlight after the atmosphere. You can see a lot of peak, H2O, and then CO2. So actually, we talk about greenhouse effect. We talk about CO2. There are actually a lot of things contribute to that. You can see the absorption of the infrared and other things. So what makes a semiconductor is that there's a band gap. So there's a band gap compared to metal. You have the metal that the charging me excited, relax, and then reflect as a like mirror. Over here, we have energy being picked up. There's a gap. There's no density of state. So the energy pick up. So the EA absorption edge determines so-called open circuit voltage. That's the energy you can collect. And then the band gap will determine how much current you can generate. So the absorbing material must have a band gap for photovoltaic applications. I don't know why the slide is flickering, so hopefully let's live with it. So this is solar spectra. This is the absorption spectra of the moisture and all that. So this is the solar spectra after within the atmosphere. So you can see that that's a gallium arsenide, and the photons with energy gap above Eg being converted into photocurrent. So this is the area that you can solve, and then turning to this gallium arsenide, QE of gallium arsenide solar cell. I believe this data from Jenny Nelson's book, taken from there. So you can see the 1.4 EV band gap is corresponding to about 818 nanometer. So the wavelengths below that, like infrared, are not used in gallium arsenide. So on the other hand, this number, I want you to remember, is corresponding to the voltage. Okay, so the IV curve, typical IV curve of a solar cell is that you have this reverse, it should be minus here, JSC, short circuit current, and the open circuit voltage. The rectangular here, the size, determine how much energy it can harvest. Equivalent circuit is that you have a diode plus a JSC is the equivalent current of the short circuit current, and then in the reverse direction. So that's why this number should be reversed, minus. The power is the current times voltage divided by the rectangular curve. So the fill factor is how much area you can fill about this large square. So the power density, if we count the power density, is JSC times VOC times fill factor. It's called power conversion efficiency. So this is the maximum power efficiency peak. This is typical solar cell operating voltage. So in the 1961, Shockley and Quayside published a paper predict the highest efficiency solar cell should be about 33%. In the ideal band gap is about 1.4 EV, 1.2, 1.4. So between 1.3, 1.4 is about here. So that's where gallium arsenide is. The maximum efficiency should be about 33%. Right now, Professor Ilya Yavanovich solar cell is about 29. It's very close to 33, but still room to improve. Perovskite is about 22 right now, and the organic record is about 12, 13%. So I share with you some of our recent record published this week. A typical model I like to use from physics point of view is borrowed from Professor Ilya Yavanovich. He said, a good solar cell must be a good fluorescence material. So you have fluorescence, sunlight comes in, generate a lot of electron hole pairs. And then these electron hole pairs, the charge will be extracted from the contact, from the hole contact and the selected contact for electron and hole. So the formation of selected contact is very important in solar cells. So there are several things from basic physics point of view one should know. Is that how to make a material very highly fluorescent. Because the free carriers, the higher the free carriers, the higher the so-called quasi-Fermi level. The quasi-Fermi level is established VOC. We know that a battery, the power of battery is the amount of voltage times its current. So that's the power. So you have the material has the electron and hole. And then one might question, how can the electron and hole find the contact to go? So that's where the selected contact is. So so-called selected contact, there are hole contact, electron contact. Hole is in the bottom of the valence, is in the top of valence band. So if we can block electron, so electron won't flow and hole will flow. If we can block the holes here, that's the electron contact, the electron will be extracted. So a typical good solar cell that we use our own perovskite, this is the photoactive materials. So over here, electron will be extracted. Over here, the hole will be extracted, and it will be. So the key, let's come back to the model. The key of this chart is if the carrier lives long enough. If the carrier has short lifetime, it will die before it hit. However, in Eli's theory, there's an important part, there's a high fluorescence. And that actually defines the difference between an inorganic solar cell and organic that Professor Gangli is a world expert. That is, if the electron and hole unfortunately recombine, it will have a fluorescence, which the strong fluorescence is required. What happened to the photon it generated? It should be self-resolved and form the so-called photon recycling. So the fluorescence will excite the carriers, so the carrier basically never die. And if the carrier has a long enough time, it will find its home and be extracted. That's the key. So that's why later when I talk about perovskite, I will indicate this parameter is very important. Perovskite, for some miracle reason, is a very long carrier lifetime. And that is probably to do with the nature, the beauty of the material. Okay, so the JSC. So how to make a great solar cells? That you have three things to worry. JSC, that's the short circuit current, open circuit voltage, and the fill factor. I already talked to you. So the absorption, you want to broaden absorption as much as possible, but you have broadened too much. What happens is that then you extend into the infrared too much, then the voltage drops. So you want to not go into that's why the Shockley quasi limitation, the maximum power is not all the way to infrared. It's only to about 1.4 eV because of the consideration. We're talking about power, we're not talking about just a current. An open circuit voltage, and then the fill factor. So let's talk about OPV. And OPV, one might ask, why OPV? You know, the efficiency is not as high as silicon. And then we all often talk about low cost. Now cost is not so low because the silicon price drop faster than the free falling particle from like the apple from the tree, thanks to China. And so we no longer talk about low cost solar cells, so we have to think about some unique feature which I'd like to mention that. One of them is flexibility. So one can position this one as a band of the Apple Watch, so the old smartwatch. So your Apple or smartwatch have unlimited energy as long as you're exposed to sunlight or room light. And then transparent OPV, we are actually share with you, we has achieved around 10% efficiency of transparent solar cell, 50% transmission. So on the other hand, I can have a 50 transmittance solar cell about 9.8% to be more precise. Okay, so just give you two examples. The efficiency of solar cell, usually I'm very proud that we have a UCLA spot here. But you can see the organic solar cells reach about 10 triangle, about 10.6. This is a 10 solar cell. The circle is single junction 11.5. And 2 weeks ago, we certified by NREL and the new port, simultaneously we have reached 12.6% efficiency. So I believe in the new aerial chart, they should include the new data. Okay, and so it's just recently achieved. Our tandem solar cell, this triangle, 10.6%, is now 11.5. I share with you the data. So it's very exciting. I mean, you might wonder, this is still far below so-called Perovskite solar cell. Yes, that's true. So that's why we have a long way to go to catch up. So at organic solar cell, because the nature of exciton binary energy, instead of Eli's model, we really have to use a so-called bioheterojunction. And this material blend these two, one is N-type, the other one is P-type, electron and charge separate in this interface, and then the charge will be collected. You can see this is a barrier. So similar to what I described to you, the so-called rectified contact. So in the beginning, the material is the P3HT PCBM. So the JSC, let's go back to the so better material synthesis processing and multiple materials. Why multiple materials? Because one material only pick up very small range of photons. And now we are approaching to multiple materials. VOC, and a VOC is determined by the difference of the yellow and the green. So how can we have the difference as high as possible, but in the meantime you still want to make a rectification over there? Okay, so that's the and then the fill factor is the interface. So we spend actually a lot of time of working on the interface. Okay, so this is how Dr. Gang Li established his achievement, and I'm honored to be there when Daniel mentioned about my citation. 5,000 from this paper alone. So when Dr. Gang Li was in our group and working on that, one day he showed me that by spin coated film dry, and he noticed the absorption has this unique peak, so pi stacking peak show up. So I say, let's make a material as thick as possible. That's the reason we realized when we let the film dry very slowly, it actually formed a so-called morphology control. And this is the first time people realize that the electronic polymer, the morphology actually to do with its electronic property. So later, Azang group and our group also realized you can also mix with some additive. And then we also realized the thermal annealing using temperature, you can also achieve the morphology you want. So this is what happened is that these films are all same thickness. You can see the purple phase is more suitable for a solar cell because it's darker. So by shorten the film drying time, you can see these all from the dark maroon color all the way to the yellow-orange color. So the efficiency is amazing. As I described to you, the area covered by this EQE curve or IPCE is the efficiency. So you let it dry by the spin coating time. The shorter, the longer, the slower the spin coating time, that for example 20 seconds, your film is still wet. The 80-second time, the film already dry. So corresponding to you have let the film dry, the more 20 minutes the drying time, you have the highest solar cell efficiency. So, and later I believe this is Ji Bazang's paper, or maybe it's our paper, that they found that putting an additive can help the formation of the morphology. You can see the tiny pocket, the domain, is important to form nice solar cell. If you have everything like a mix over here, the exciton binary energy, the exciton separation that they recombine. Over here, let me see, the domain, yes, it is a one. The domain is formed, and then the charge will be extracted by the P-type and N-type respectively. So that's the important progress, the DIO additive. But later we realized that DIO was not stable, so we found a way to fix the problem. So that's a little bit history of the solar cell on the on the polymer and the PCBM, which is a C60 derivative. And later there's a important study from PKU, Peking University. It's called non-fluorine acceptor. What is non-fluorine acceptor? That the acceptor typically are fluorine, and fluorine has very weak absorption. So one of the trick of increasing the absorption is not just the fluorine as absorption material, but also the acceptor. So this is ITIC, and this is IT4F. So by matching the energy level better, so we are able to do a much better job. So one can see that this is the absorption of two materials, maybe not three. So we try to use the non-fluorine material to broaden the absorption. So one can see that you can have the channel 1, the charge being extracted, the channel 2 charge being extracted. So that's the whole extraction, and that's the electron extraction. So that's the key. The donor material that people now using is wide gap semiconductor. Narrow gap semiconductor is more infrared, and the mid gap semiconductor are all this. So we are able to mix these different donor materials, form so-called Tannery structure. So we put 3 or even 4 polymers into the system instead of being 2. Now we start to have 3 or 4 compounds. So those are very important progress. So that's and this is a acceptor. So let's come back. This is a donor material, and this is a new acceptor. So this is the PCBM, is what used to be. And over here is SFPDI2, and the narrow gap semiconductor is IHIC, and all this complicated chemical structure. Only my postdoc understand what's that. And the mid gap acceptor. So the trick, none of them are fluorine except the PCBM here. So Professor Zhang Xiaowei in PKU, I strongly encourage you to invite him. That is, he spent 10 years working on the non-fluorine acceptor. He told me that he only do one thing, non-fluorine acceptor. And I must say that it's very hard in China now to find a scientist really come down to dig one topic into a very deep level. My student, a lot of them from China, they want to have overnight success. I want to make a compound, then second day I become world famous. Those things doesn't come easy. So I often use Professor Zhang's example and encourage the student, just you have to be calm and slow, take your time, understand the physics. So that's a lot of material. So that's how we work with him. Okay, so the state-of-art non-fluorine OPV, this slide was prepared about May 16. At that time, we have a 12 point, it may not even from us, from other group, 12.8% efficiency. And one can see that the VOC, the so-called open circuit voltage deficit. So this is the open circuit E-loss. So most of the OPV are in this range. So you can see that device on the 12%. So this device 12.8%, but you can see the VOC loss only 0.48 volts. It's here. So 0.48 is coming down. So this VOC loss is really small. That's why we push the efficiency so high. So we want this number to be 15. We want to increase to 15. How to do that? I will share with you our strategy. So that's the material we use, the donor material and acceptor material used. And one of the problem of the OPV is the narrow absorption. So you can see the semiconductor conduction band and valence band. There's a band gap in between. But polymer or organic semiconductor are molecular orbital structure. So the absorption are very narrow band-like. And the band structure give you the band-like transport, and the molecular orbital give you the hopping model. So how can we overcome the narrow absorption of the polymer when we try to make a organic solar cell efficiently. So we have, and let me share with you, organic Tannery solar cells and organic tandem solar cells. These two approach is what we use to broaden the absorption. So the Tannery idea very simple. So we have one compound like that. Let's broaden it. Let's extend. There's one problem. We have to understand. The open circuit voltage is tied into the absorption. So why we extend it into the infrared, we lost our voltage. So how to balance that? On the other hand, you try to go into UV. There's not much UV for you to harvest. So that's the trick. Okay, so the previous work in our group is that by my student YY2, now he is a professor in Zhejiang University. So he tried to blend these two molecules. You can see there's a similar compound in between that gives blending polymer is not easy. You might say, okay, just blend two molecules. Absorption-wise, optically, you can have these two materials adding up. One can add up the one absorption with the other, no problem. It's the electronic property really kills you because the charge is not only blending but charges to be extracted. So that's why the BDT unit is really important of making these two materials coherent. We actually try many different materials, it doesn't work. So my student Cheng Pei, postdoc, he actually find a way to do a so-called Tannery system. So you can see, now we blend the cell component into it. It's the red one and the blue one are the donor and receptor. Now he start to bring the green one, but the green one doesn't work that well. So he said, okay, let me do it. So he invented a term called control Tannery. You put this green material onto the buffer layer. So instead of blend three together, you put one over here. So look at that. So the red material is PCBN or ITIC. The green one is the IDIC, and the blue material is the donor material on the top. Okay, so you can see that in the so-called control Tannery system, we got 11%, and then compared to the SB standard Tannery, you got 9.4%. So there's a significant difference on the material, and the paper is advanced material. So you can see that the control Tannery, the EQE curve went up, the IV curve also goes down, increased significantly. And the X-ray diffraction proved that the control Tannery system actually has all the good things about the Tannery you want. The PO quench, the crystallinity still form, so the charge transfer and the charge extraction still no problem in the Tannery system. And this is a complicated chart, so let me explain to you. And when Dr. Cheng Pei showed it to me, I almost out of conscious. I said, what are you trying to tell people? It's too complicated. So let me, I don't have a board here, but if I have a board, I will show you. Don't worry about the chart. So I want you to think about this is donor, this is acceptor. Don't worry about the middle guy. Okay. So a donor receptor system, very nice. You have 3.91 EV, 5.353 EV here. Good. Now the problem is these two lines, the dark lines, determines the maximum VOC one can have. Okay. Now the question is, how can we have infrared absorption? Because these two materials are pretty wide gap. If I blend green material, I'm going to lose VOC. I explained to you the absorption. But ideally, if Cheng Pei, he can engineer, somehow put the green material in between, so the charge separation is like optimized one. Okay. So the electron will come to here and then extract. The hole will come over here, will be extract. So that's the ideal about the middle chart. And then one can have absorption come down here, but this one, the energy gap not small enough. This one is too small, and the charge will come over here and trap in between. So you don't want the trapped system. You want the optimized system. So I hope now I explained clearly to you. Okay. So that's the reason you have the red color component, that's a donor FTAZ, acceptor IDIC, and then the third component is so-called, I don't know is there a name, ITICTH. Okay. So now that's the chemistry, how to make it. So if they blend these two, they can make 11.6% device. So broaden absorption, the broaden absorption of active layer into the infrared, but not at the price of the VOC. So you can see the VOC, the all this system has the VOC more or less over here. So that's the indication that we did not, we have the increase of the short circuit current, but not the price of paying the VOC. Okay, so that's the Tannery system. And then we have making tandem device for a long time. And the tandem device is that you are able to stack these two absorption together, and then with the interconnecting layer, the electron and hole will recombine. This is a charge recombination layer. So the VOC is just like a two battery add together. So the VOC can be add up, and the JSC will be equal. So the problem of that is the tandem solar cell will go with the smaller JSC. If you think about the simple electronic circuit, so that if you wire two batteries, will be the smaller current dominates, not the large current, because the resistance, the series resistance there. So that's the typical energy diagram of the tandem solar cell. So the tandem solar cell will have, you think about these two solar cells, they stack together with a wire. This wire it must be transparent optically. And number two, it must be very small resistance. So combine these two, that's the key. It must be processable. So just make the transparent conductor in between is technical challenge, because a conductor has electrons. Electrons has this plasmatic effect or the free electron effect. It pick up the charges. So that's why those difficulty coming from. So we have front cell and we have back cell. Now we make 13.3% efficiency device. Actually, now we are making 13.8% efficiency. However, when we send it to NREL for certification, because of shipping or because whatever reason, NREL now taking a very different certifying approach. They call stabilized efficiency. So now our previous measurement before is not here. They have to wait until the device stabilizes. They measure the efficiency. The reason they change is because of Perovskite. Because in the old days, Perovskite, a lot of people try to measure the IV curve as soon as possible. They don't care about efficiency. They just zoom. And my students sometimes say, "Oh, this is good efficiency." But you look at the every data point, they only stay there for a millisecond or so. I said, this is too fast. I said, if you let it too long, then the efficiency drops. The paper cannot publish. I said, wow. It's more important to do it right than do it quick. Okay. Anyway, so I'd like to share with you these two. Let me show you the date. Is there a date? Yes. May 30th. It's still fresh. Okay, the data. So certified single junction device of 12.4%, but I did not have if I show you the whole data, there's a word called bogus. Means this data is not real. Why the data is not real? I show it because the real data they have only did. Let me show you the next one. Okay, this one is real. This is NREL certified, 11.5% tandem device. You can see they only have a few data points. The bogus data and the real data on this one is about the same. That's why I want to show you the IV curve. It's about the same. Okay, so that's why I think it's okay. It's close enough to be real. So our data was also certified by Newport, and that will be used in the NREL chart. I hope is 12.6%. The new world record is 12.6, certified by NREL and approved by certified by Newport and approved by NREL. So I don't want to bring you any incorrect information. And this is real. This is certified OPV tendon, 11.52%. But in our lab, we measure about 13.8% device. Okay, the difference is because encapsulation. Number two is that they choose a different certification method. To certify a tendon device, to my knowledge, only NREL can do that. Okay. So these are recent paper. We have a Nature Photonic paper. Gang, you're the co-author of it, right? Okay. Advanced material paper, and then there is a paper in June, transparent OPV. I did not mention transparent OPV because I worry about my time will be up. So we took that. Remember, we have a separate infrared material, and the infrared material only absorbs infrared. So we use Tannery System to make infrared solar cell. We reach about 9.8% efficiency. So just to share with you, this is very exciting. Okay, now I'd like to share with you the Perovskite solar cell. So Perovskite solar, a lot of people work on Perovskite solar cells, and one might ask a question. We start till 2013. We start 2013. So you might wonder how can we start Perovskite solar cells while our group, most of them, are working on OPV. In 2007, when there's a startup company called Solomon. They licensed our patent from our group, and that was the peak of OPV. We are making world record efficiency, and I particularly like to share student with this story. That is, I get my group together. I say I get tired of one question people constantly ask me in the conference. Is the stability of solar cells, polymer solar cells. Because polymer has known to be unstable under the sun because of UV and other things. Conjugate polymer, particularly the double bond, are sensitive to oxygen moisture. So I take the group, I say I want the material as easy process as polymer, but it's inorganic. It's low cost. And there are 3 students volunteered to work on this topic. I don't have a solution. So they spent one summer reading patents, papers. Finally, at the end of the summer, they came to me and said, Professor, let's work on called CIGS. I said, what is CIGS? It's copper, indium, gallium, selenide. Oh, I say, okay, it can be solution process. IBM, they be missing, prove it. And there is inorganic semiconductor. The band gap is a little bit small for PV, but it's not too bad. And there are commercial CIGS solar cell by sputtering system. Oh my gosh, okay, good. And then, so I said, yeah, let's do it. So that's the reason we start from 2007 on inorganic solar cells. Where it is a peak in the OPV. And similarly, if we don't looking for new direction, when the OPV is gone and we start to look for new direction, it will be too late. Then because everybody is looking for new directions now. So you might wonder and say, Professor, in your group, what are you looking for now? I don't know. That's why I need students to come to my group. It's only the students who have no scare. They bring the revolution, not the old guy like me, you know. I sit in my chair thinking about retirement. I cannot make a revolution. But anyway, I encourage a student who has a new idea with no scare of making changes, you know. Come we work together. So after CIGS, when Perovskite appears, and we able to switch to Perovskite, much easier than a lot of people. So Perovskite is such a wonderful material. It is ABX3 structure. I'm sure there are a lot of people know Perovskite now. And A is those different metal or cesium Rb atoms. And the lead and tin, and the X are the chlorine, bromide, and iodine halogen group. So there's an important part that is called ratio, called tolerance factor. You want to go with solar cells, you want the tolerance factor to be around 1 if you have a cubic structure. So that's so the tolerance factor should be around here. That's where the FA and the MA around here. I will talk about FA later. So this is a very simple geometry factor. And then electronic structure, that is the valence band of the iodine coupled with basically you can think of this is the final band structure energy gap. This is from iodine and this is from lead. So you combine these two together. The organic compound did not contribute electronically according to the DOS, the density function theory calculation, but it contributed a lot to the tolerance factor. This is how this structure is formed. Okay, so we cannot skip that. This is a publication. This is crazy. This is faster than the stock I purchased. You can see the paper published and the number of paper published. This is the efficiency. I had a lunch with Professor Ilya Yovanovich the other day. He's young. Remember one thing. Yes, if you plot it, I actually have a curve. I can find it for you. If one plot efficiency versus number of publications, I did that. My student did. This number of years. Let's forget about it. Let's plot. Let's take this number as the x-axis, and let's put this number as the y-axis. You will see a curve looks like this. From 20%, from 21% to 22%. Guess how many papers published? You can see it from 21. 21 is about 2015. 2015 is here. So it's 3,000, 6,000 papers. About 6,000 papers pushing efficiency up 1%. So now I ask the student here, you are buying stock. You want the stock buy low, it's sell high, right? So now everybody jump in. Now push the number of publication to 5,000 papers you publish, you increase the efficiency by only 1%. This is bloody battle, you know. So that's why, guess what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, when can I get out of the game? Not get into it. It's too hard. You know, 5,000 papers and 1% efficiency increase. So that's why it's a mixed feeling. That is a good material. It's a good field. Now is what is next. Okay. So that's why people in Hong Kong are very smart business people. So if you can combine the business side into the research, scientific research, I'm sure you can find the way out of it. Okay. Anyway, so I mentioned to you about carrier lifetime. So this is perovskite, silicon CIG, and gallium arsenide. I particularly put this one in the red dot. 1 microsecond lifetime. Compared to a lot of material, including gallium arsenide, the red band gap is 3,300 nanoseconds. Okay. Why is one microsecond important? That is, you have carrier live long enough. That's the reason gallium arsenide is a single crystal material. This is a lousy, junky polycrystalline material. It has such a long carrier. The question is why? So I talked to my good friend. This is a little bit history. Perovskite become from DSC into its own planar structure. I talked to Professor Zhu Xiaoyang. He came out with this model. It's called a large boron model. It's the perovskite itself is an ionic crystal. So when you have a charge, electron hole, it polarizes the lattice. You see the lattice polarized. So it's a if you integrate the red color, you will have a charge to shield. The shielding effect make this is charged, but it's not sensed. They don't see each other. That's the long carrier lifetime come from. Why they don't see each other? because you polarize the lattice. That's why because of that, and carry extremely long lifetime. That's why even we have a very lousy material, glove box, or even we don't have a glove box, one can simply go and make a device. You can easily make 10, 20, not 20, 20 is not easy. 15% device is not hard. So let's give credit to those people who contribute to all the work. Today, 10 to 15% is, basically a high school student can do it. 20% is still very hard. We spend a lot of time making routine. In our group, we can make routine reproduce efficiency above 20%. It comes with a lot of effort. 15%, I think, probably not hard, but 10% should be able to do a lot of people. But you think, where's OPV? OPV is about here, 12%. But I think OPV is still a lot of room to grow, particularly after we learn from Perovskite. Okay, so there are 4 things: higher PCE, stability, large area, and toxicity. We don't touch toxicity because this is a chemistry problem. I'm a physicist by training, so I literally is doing organic chemistry. Stability is one thing we are working on. So I can share with you, one can actually go back to the chart. You see the chart here? So this is the efficiency over here. But if you change the to stability, there's still a long way to go. So that's what I want to share with you. That's what we are working on. You can see that this one saturated, but stability is still going up quite rapidly. So that's what we are working on that. Okay? And to give credit, a lot of these papers are talking about stability now, not efficiency. Okay, so let's talk about the Perovskite. So we focus on high PCE and high stability. So we design new materials, and then the crystal growth engineering, and then the defect passivation, and interface engineering. These are the 4 category technology we work on. So single crystal, we grow single crystal. This is our picture. I believe it's our picture. Thin film, we can see that single crystal has a lot of good things. 100 nanometer, a micrometer diffusion length, very low defect density. Typical density is 10 to the 16 to the 18. You say, wow, this is bad. This is bad. How can one get, like a 20% efficiency? That's because the property I mentioned to you. Okay, so the role of grain boundaries. Grain boundaries, the grains, multi-grain, the grains are typically a few hundred nanometers. That's enough because the film thickness is about 300 nanometers. So the grain boundary is something that we think need to be taken care of. So you can see that everything here, the grain boundary is the charge recombination loss is charge recombination center. Is a current hysteresis. You can say ionic species moving along the grain boundary. And finally, my student Jinsong Huang, Dr. Jinsong Huang, proved that this can be a water channel into here. So Dr. Lee is our postdoc. He proposed and demonstrated the Lewis base additive. So what happened is that he tried to create so-called intermediate phase. So the intermediate phase turned out to be important when grow the crystals. So that polycrystal, so the acid plus base, so this is Lewis base, that's what you use. So typically, people put a little bit of DMSO into it. So intermediate phase grow much better film quality compared to this one. What happened to the Perovskite? That is anything that you have, you do the crystal formation, you form a Perovskite PVC crystal or polycrystalline. You put the Lewis base here, you increase the activation energy. What happened? Let's say there's no activation energy. You lower this one, so this two will be, if it is interchangeable, that's not good. You could have a phase, you switch to back. So the idea is that let's increase the activation energy. So it's a one-way street. You're coming over here, it never goes back. Okay, so this is the typical kinetics Heinz equation. So that's what Dr. Lee trying to do is he put the urea, the DMSO, he said, okay, I'm going to use this one. It looks very similar. One is a sulfur, this one is carbon, but this one has a much stronger polarity. So this is what he got. He got this is a reference cell. He got the urea with much better crystal quality. You can see from the left and right. So we are able to increase from 17% to about 18.5% efficiency. You can see this is EQE curve again over here. Why it works? Because we believe passivate the defect, shallow defect. I lost the data here. Every time I transfer from PC to Mac, something happened. So you can see there's a quick decay of the reference cell. Later I will show you. Once we put the urea there, the quick decay disappears. The pure decay becomes very nice. Suggests that the shallow defect was passivated. So that's the urea, and you can see that the DMSO and the TG data, DMSO, the urea decay at a much higher temperature. They indicate we are baking the film at 150 degrees C. Indicate that the urea still stay, someone stay in the film. And where it goes, we have done this, let me see, this is the EDEX, the element analysis, SEM. One can see the urea actually go into the lead is not, this is the grain boundary. You don't see Perovskite here, but you see carbon, that's urea, nitrogen, and the oxygen. So that's where we believe the urea was pushed away by the crystal and into the grain boundary, passivated the grain boundary. So while we see this nice SEM image, I must remind you this one doesn't come free. It's quite expensive to do that. I have to pay for my own grain. But anyway, that's the reason of doing research. Okay, and then Dr. Lee was able to put the urea on the top of the passivated top vacancy as well. So that's why we are able to do that. So I want to show you this one is better. So you can see once it's a passivate post-treat, the pure efficiency increase. So remember we want the high pure. You put the urea here, you can see the fast decay disappear. It become a long red color decay. So that's indicated we passivate the shallow defects. Okay, then the other one is that we put the 2D Perovskite mixed with the Perovskite together. So this is talking about FA. We want to push the band gap as close to 1.4 EV as possible. That's where gallium arsenide is. But when we do so, one has to put the tin. And tin proved to be unstable because the tin ability 2 and 3 are not very stable. So that's you have a pure FA PBI3 phase 1.4 EV, but FA in this range is very close. It's not stable. And then, so that's the whole research is trying to make it is stabilized. So Dr. Lee put the so-called, so this is FA PBI3. So you can see living air in 24 hours become transparent. Obviously, you cannot use it for solar cell. So Dr. Lee actually put, you can see because of this, all this, this is a dark phase, the delta phase appears. The absorption disappears. Okay, so the 2D Perovskite mixed with the solar cell, the P3HD 3D. Similarly, the crystal, when the crystal form, you push the 2D material in between. So that you form a formation energy cubic Perovskite phase going down. So one can actually look in the grain boundary. You can see the grain boundary. You found that in the grain is Perovskite. In the grain boundary, this is a 2D material. It's a very nice chart. So this is with 2D Perovskite. You preserve all the peaks of the XRD peak. And also we got the 500 nanoseconds. Look at it, 500 nanoseconds, that's amazing. Long carrier lifetime. And the PO, 2D and 3D, the PO is similar, and the 2D material has a stronger absorption. The phase purity go up, the absorption went up. The 2D perovskite at the grain boundary, identical energy gap as a pure FAPBI3. So the band gap is not changing. But the pure, you can see the pure, this is black and this is red and the black curve overlap. Okay. The absorption increase indicate the crystallinity increase. And now we're able to systematically make a device in this range. This is 19 and occasionally make 20. But this data is about a few months old. So the maximum efficiency we make in this case is 21%. And I believe this paper just recently accepted. And we certified the device by Newport is about 19.77, close to 20. Now, so let's put it side by side. Exposed to air, 85% humidity. Look at this one. On the dark, it's 1,000. It's still going. It's still going. I think this one maybe like 3,000, 5,000 hour now. This is encapsulated device. This is encapsulated device. You can see that encapsulated, the device stability is pretty good after 400 minutes in air. The typical device going down quite a lot, by 50%. This is the 2D with perovskite. This is the 2D perovskite unencapsulated. This is unencapsulated in air. This is all in air. So I think we actually have pretty good material right now. Doesn't mean we solve all the problem, because if we solve all the problem, I want the black curve, the red curve, to be here. But it's not there yet. It's still a long way to go. Okay, but this, compared to these two, with 2D is much better. Okay, you don't see any decay. This curve and these two photos are the same. Okay, now we go back to CIGS and perovskite. Remember we worked on CIGS before? Now we make a tandem device. So why choose CIGS? Because CIGS, this is Shockley quasi-limitation curve. There's a long way, a huge room for improve. So ideally, if we make everything right, we should be able to make a device more than 40% efficiency. We are not there yet. So this is what CIGS perovskite tandem device by IBM they made in 2015, I believe. So they got about 10% device or 8%. This is our area certified data. This is 22.43% device. We tried to make a 24% because my area system was down by 6 months. So now the system has repaired. So we are going to send back our new device. Hopefully we can reach 24%. Maybe next time I come over, I should be able to share with you on 24% device. So you may wonder how high do I want this one to be? I told my student, if you reach 30%, I'll let you graduate. I think it's possible, but the students are amazing. Anyway, I give you my summary. OPV is a promising technology with many unique applications now available to other technologies such as building and agriculture. I forgot to mention to you, the transparent or semi-transparent OPV can be used for agricultural greenhouse. Because plant is amazing. They only use small portion of the photon. That's why plant are green. They pick up, they use red photons. How about the rest of photons? That's used to generate electricity. Perovskite is promising is a dream material for solar cells. Proper e.g. high PO and high carrier mobility, long diffusion length. Device efficiency being significantly improved in the past 3 years. We still need to improve the basic understanding of many things like hysteresis, lag containing, stability. And then finally, my personal dream was generate energy generation wherever we need. For example, electrical car can charge itself if we park under the sunlight. So it's not easy, but we are at the academic, we're at the university, and dream big is part of our job. And I hope that I share with the PolyU student that let's dream big, let's take effort to make it happen. Thank you very much. Oh, I forgot, this is my group. This is our sponsor. And Dr. Gang Li is here. The picture taken a little bit old. The most of the students already graduated, and a lot of them become faculty. But anyway, this is the funding agency, I should think that. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Yuan's interesting and informative seminar. Now, we still have half an hour for Q&A. You're welcome to raise questions.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your nice talk. I have a question regarding the OPV part. You mentioned that you add the set part and with a suitable band gap, match the pneumo and the homo of the donor and the acceptor exactly. Then it's better for the charge separation or whatever. For your slides is 35. I mean, why the cascade is not as good as the what you mentioned, the optimized? I failed to.
Let's go back. Let's go back first.
Okay. 35. Yeah, 35. Yeah, I mean, figure 8. Why the first one is not as good as the optimized one?
Oh, cascade?
Yeah.
It is good. I'm not saying it is not good. This is optimal. The reason is we need the infrared photon. You see, this one is my finger as a ruler.
Yeah.
This one and this one has not much different absorption.
So in terms of energy alignment, is good.
The alignment is no problem. This one is okay, no problem. But ideally, you want to have the absorption extend into the infrared.
Okay.
That's the idea. Okay. So you take the top of the lumen of this material A and the homo of D. This is the ideal. So you should go and looking for the material.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
And the second,
No problem. No problem.
is regarding perovskite. Actually, is a general question, and regarding the morphology of perovskite, you showed some good morphology of your perovskite. I mean, the domain size is quite small. It's less than 500 nanometer. I mean, some paper claims that for the big domain, for example, the hot casting from blading, they form very large domains, something like more than 10 micron. I mean, in terms of performance of perovskite solar cells, which kind of morphology is better, small size or big size? What's your suggestion regarding this?
My answer is very simple. You want the crystal as large size as possible to when it works. The crystal size too big usually has its own problem. Let me answer a question. People can grow single crystal to a large size single crystal. Have you seen a good solar cell from single crystal, Perovskite single cell?
Not yet.
No, it's not yet. It will never happen. You want to ask yourself why. The reason is interface. When you have a good interface, then you can make good crystal. Remember we talked about interface, right? So that's why the bulk material give you an advantage. But remember, solar cell is the crystal. All you need to do is vertical transport. You can have enough transport diffusion length to reach the contact. That's it. If more than that, say you have such thick crystal, but your light did not penetrate so much. Your photon, the density of cell is very high. It doesn't go too deep. 500 nanometer, maybe a micron is the most. So all you need to do is, let's say 500, half micron is probably more than enough for reaching the good solar cells. Okay? Gallium arsenide is about 4 microns. Gallium arsenide thin film. Okay. So all you need to do is sufficiently large crystal. You don't have to grow the crystal in the millimeter size. And then take care of the grain boundary. That's it. That's my opinion.
Last question. You mentioned that perovskite is so hot. What's the future of perovskite in terms of lab research from your suggestion?
So again, I don't understand.
What's the future of perovskite in terms of lab research?
In terms of
Lab research.
research?
Yeah. Lab research.
Or laboratory research?
Yeah.
In terms of laboratory research, I wish I know it. No, okay, research is you do something different, right? So I think the perovskite is very interesting materials, and research is we have a lot of students try to make solar cell even higher efficient. I think it's difficult. It's not impossible. Okay, but we also have a student try to make perovskite into understanding its degradation mechanism. For example, what makes a material so good, and then how to fix the material property. Yeah, there are many things that one can do. Let me give you a suggestion. You go buy a book. The author is S-Z-E. Solid state. Double E should know, right? You go read from chapter 1. Replace silicon with perovskite. You see what's not. I'm serious. You go there, read it, and then you say, "Oh, nobody done this. Okay, I'm going to work on that." That's okay. And that's true. One more question, right?
Thank you so much.
Oh, I thought you have one more question. Okay.
I have a question about the perovskite part. You introduced the 2D perovskite into the pure Fa-based perovskite, and you showed the significantly enhanced carrier lifetime. What's the reason behind this? Is originated from the defect preservation or something else?
Okay. What year are you a graduate student?
Yeah.
What department? What is your major?
Pardon? Major perovskite.
Huh?
Perovskite source.
No.
Yeah.
Double E student, material science, chemistry,
Physics. Yeah.
physics.
Yeah.
Physics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question. You go to look at 1/tau. Tau is a carrier lifetime of any semiconductor book.
Yeah.
It gives you 1/tau1 plus 1/tau2.
Yeah.
Right? You remember
Yeah.
the equation, right?
Yeah.
What is tau1?
I remember it's originally the interface.
Very good. I don't know interface. There are defects, interface. There are bulk defects, deep level interface.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You go there, check one after another. It's not all there.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1/tau1 or 1/. So you solve 1/tau1. Let's say you solve the most important part, then 1/tau2 become most important. Now you solve 1/tau2, you have 1/tau3. You just go one after another. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why taking course is important. Take prelim is important. Connect the dots with your textbook is important. Okay?
Thank you.
Very good.
But my question is, what's the effects of the
2D,
2D?
right?
Yeah.
What the effect of 2D perovskite?
Yeah.
Let's take the PO. The PO data went up. Means we fixed some of the defects.
Yeah.
And the defect could be 1/tau1, tau2, tau3. Or could be interface. Could be the deep level. Or could be the grain boundary impurities. Okay? And then we saw that the carrier lifetime, the phase decay component disappeared. The phase component usually coming from the shallow defects because they fill the defect quickly.
But I think just from the pure result, it's not a direct how to say,
Argument.
yeah, to prove your
My
the
theory, my
defect
hypothesis,
position,
right?
Yeah.
So if you were a student, you were a postdoc, what would you do?
I think because I met the same situation when I submit my paper to, and I got the comments from the reviews. This suggested the peer and tier peer is not the direct.
Let me ask you a question. The first thing I landed today, I looked at Dow Jones. You know Dow Jones, the U.S. stock index, dropped 192 points. Why? So I answer your question now. You go back and send me an email. Tell me why the Dow Jones dropped 192 points. Is that fair? Okay. So his question. Repeat his question again.
I want to in the perovskite field to pro your. I think there should be some direct method to pro your. You mean you can decrease the shallow traps when introducing the 2D perovskite?
I did not say that. You say that, okay? I said my data suggests that. Now let's go quick. What's your name?
Wang Yang.
Wang Liang. Okay, let me tell you. There are many ways to study defects in semiconductor. Okay? There's spectroscopy, either optical or impedance, or electron microscopy, or even the simplest SCLC space charge, the limit current. You go read some papers, okay? And then you think about it. Other than the PO, how can you, let's go back to the referee question. You say PO is not enough. What kind of things is enough? Right? By the way, the referee not necessarily always right. But I tell you, the defect is very sensitive to, the PO is very sensitive to defects. Just think about it. What is PO? Band-to-band transition, right? You from the conduction band drop to the valence band, the energy emit as a photon. If there is anything in between the gap, that's where the PO disappears. Chinese 拦路虎, right? You stop the PO. So what's in between the gap? That's where the bad guy is. Right? You want to find those. Now the second question is you should find one additional tool to prove what is the defect. And there are things to prove precisely where is the energy level of those defects. I can give you one example. If you can make a junction, there's a technology called deep level transient spectroscopy, DLTS. See whether anyone has a DLTS in Hong Kong. You build a junction, PN junction of perovskite, you do the impedance spectroscopy, the time result impedance spectroscopy, you will be able to pinpoint what is the energy level. You might not know the species, but you know the energy levels. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yang Yang. I have a small question that you have introduced one tandem solar cell. Did you try any other structure or tandem solar cell, such as perovskite, or perovskite OPV? Which one do you think have the most potential for the application? Thank you.
Have I tried perovskite, OPV tandem solar cell? That's your question?
I want to know, did you try any other tandem solar cell?
Oh, we try many tandem solar cells.
Yeah, which one could be the most promising one?
I don't remember because I'm not the one working in my lab. The students. I can tell you one data point I tell you here, we might have 1,000 data points I did not use. So our student working very hard. Okay, so I need to give the credit to the student who worked that, the project. Okay, I'm not the one who did that. Okay, we do work on OPV tandem. Instead of OPV tandem, we make OPV and the perovskite bilayer device. So we have published a paper, advanced material paper on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Professor Yang. You mentioned that the stability of the OPV has always been a problem. Do you have any suggestion on how to improve this situation?
You have the world expert. Professor Gang Li sitting here. He's the world expert. He's better than me. Okay, let's put it this way. You take a plastic bag, not even OPV, supermarket shopping bag, put under the sun in Hong Kong. And you live there, and 1 year later you come back. What happened to the plastic? It decomposed, it broke. Why? Because the UV, there's rain and moisture, it damaged the bonds, right? And you think about what is polymer? What definition of polymer? I like to ask student definition, just like I ask the student Guang Liang or whatever what the definition of defects. Polymer from Germany, poly, M-E-R, means repeat unit. Chained by single, double, or sometimes triple bonds of carbon. Photon comes in, particular UV will break the bonds. So the chemical bond like this, they cut into pieces. How to prevent this? First, you block UV, so UV won't come in. But your charge, your photo-excited charges along the polymer chain, they form radicals in the presence of oxygen, particularly atomic oxygen. These bonds with the radical will break. You remember in our body you don't want radical because they create cancer, the same as the polymer. So the question is, how can we stop that? Because we are using polymer to generate the charges, like organic LED, polymer solar cells, to solve this problem. So you want to make the energy level deep so that it's not that easily oxidized. Right? It makes sense to you? So you want to do that, you want to have a very good encapsulation. So you want to do that, you want to away from the oxidation state because the radicals will be easily oxidized. When you oxidize, you break the bond. Now it makes things worse. We have double bond. That's why I make a conjugate polymer. The double bond, you have one single bond. There's a double bond, the pi conjugation. This conjugate bond is easier to be break than the covalent bond there. So that's the whole way of electrochemistry that you need to talk to some organic chemist to design the model. That's why they design the benzene ring and they design the 5-member polysilophane. Why the polysilophane is so good? You think about the P dot. You guys heard of the P dot, right? Conducting polymer. You see the oxygen ring on top of that bridge there. So you don't want to have a single double bond or triple bond there. You want to have a ring structure. So in the early days of polymer LEDs, that's how we modify the molecule, because the ring structure, the benzene ring, is much more stable than the double bond in the linear polymer chain. It's all come back to the fundamental science. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
For this work,
Yes.
you mentioned you are doing controlled morphology, ternary morphology, right? So the green layer is on the bottom of the. So why?
Right. Some of them. This work, I believe, we blend them. We did so
one
much.
slide,
Yeah, there's one slide earlier. I remember. Yeah, you are right. There's one slide earlier. Oh no, wrong direction. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So why this controlled ternary OPV can be better than this randomly mixed?
Sure, I still don't know how come it works, but it works. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give you a simple answer. That is because these two become a 2-component. It's much easier to control 2 components than 3 components. 3 components, you have too many things to worry about.
But do you have to control the thickness of the third component?
Yeah. This one?
Yeah, because.
Yeah, you want to thin enough to. It's because this is resistor. You don't want to too thick. Yeah. but you need to thick enough to pick up light. So there is an optimization. If you have a chance to go to my lab, I will show you a box, a paper box. That's where we make ITO substrate, that we make a device. The student, after measurement, after 6 months or whether they throw away. The box is this big, this high. I think there are probably 20,000, 30,000 pieces of ITO substrate. That's how this data coming from. They make different mixture, different thickness. Yeah.
Professor Yang, I have a question about why do we have to use the spiral structure for the like the ITIC or the IDIC?
How do I have to use what?
The spiral structure.
Structure?
Spiral structure.
Spiral?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the design of the ITIC?
Yeah.
Which part is the spiral structure?
The middle part.
This one?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you really did not take advantage of Professor Gang Li here. To be honest, I don't know. This unit, the ITIC are actually from Professor Zhang Xiaowei. I think they fused the ring here. Look at that. They fused the ring here so they don't walk around. I don't know the chemistry of behind the design. Gang, do you know? No idea.
Well, you have Xiaowei Games 1.5 years ago give a talk that that's his part. I mean, we really here is the engineering school. We are not. We should have the ABCT guys
Actually,
here.
it's a good question because in early days, I don't know you guys, any chemists here, we heard the name called polyfluorine. Polyfluorine is a 2 benzene ring here, not instead of 5 ring, 2 benzene ring. They fuse, they lock, and then there is another side group here, and that was a blue material. So, and polyfluorine was blue. The reason is they was able to split. They was able to. Think about this: a carbon here, and then this two is not on the same plane. This two is flipped like that. Somehow, some miracle happened when the polyfluorine was formed. So I don't quite remember the effect. Yeah, but that's good observation. Yeah, I'm sure it's not so easy to make material like that. But I'm not chemist. Anyone has a contribution can tell. Anyway, so that's my input.
Thank you.